Hello, everybody. This is Harvard sitting here with Zack, and we're in the Week 7 NFL Minnesota Vikings. They're going into Philadelphia, and boy, if this had been a preseason game, I think we would have seen a quarterback, Sam Bradford, throwing for Philadelphia. Well, they got rid of him, and Sam Bradford has absolutely done more than what they've thought he could do. 71% completion rate, 990 yards passing, 6 touchdowns. In fact, he's gone 125 passes without throwing an interception. He has 110 quarterback rating. So I think he's done everything. But, he's back to where it all started. And I think that he's going to have some kind of mindset maybe to go in there and prove that he should have been a little bit more respected from the entire staff and coaching staff. Minnesota's coming in off of a bye week. I think that helped because Stephon Diggs, he got a chance to get healed, and he'll be into the game. For Carson Wentz, this guy, ever since, he was 3-0 before the bye, then they had the bye, and since then he's gone 0-2. Well, I think he's had time to think about what he was doing in the first 3 weeks, and it finally dawned on him, and I think I mentioned that when he came back 2 weeks ago when I bet against him. Also, a combination of that and a combination that other teams have game film on him now. Last week against Washington, I don't think he did a very good job. 11 of 22 for just 179 yards passing. Philadelphia, they're only averaging 77 yards per game rushing. So if you can't get it passing, you can't get it rushing, and you're going up against the defense. Let me just throw a couple stats at you for this Minnesota defense. They're number 1 defense. Points per game, they're only allowing 12.6 points per game. So if no team is scoring more than 12 points, and they've played the Giants, they played Carolina, they played Green Bay. I mean, they've had some good games, and they're only allowing 12 points. They're number 2 in total yards allowed. They're number 3, and this is probably one of the biggest things, they're number 3 in sacks at 19, and they've played one less game than some of them. They've only played 5 games, where some teams have played 6, but they're still number 3 in sacks. And Washington, they got to Philadelphia and Carson Wentz last week with 5 sacks. And this week, Lane Johnson, the great right tackle for Philadelphia, he's suspended for this game. And I tell you what, I think this Minnesota defense is going to have a field day in that backfield of Philadelphia. I think there's revenge. I think that there's a little chip on the shoulder for Sam Bradford. I think his teammates are going to go back there and be real focused to make sure that he doesn't get embarrassed in front of this Philadelphia team. The Vikings defense, when you picture defense, sometimes you think, wow, what are they doing against the run? Or what do they do, where you compartmentalize it against the pass? Well, these guys, they're all over. They can stop the run, they can stop the pass, they force turnovers, and they get sacks. So they are all over the field. Even though 87% of the money has come in on Minnesota, and I'm not one to go with that type of public money, I'm going with it this week. I'm going to take Minnesota minus 3.5. But the thing I have is I bet it early because I really think this line might go up to 3.
2.5. Yeah, this is going to be one of the ones where I just give opinions on Hollis for a couple of reasons. I think the market value on both of these teams is a little bit undetermined. Philadelphia Eagles team 3 weeks ago that were on a bye week, and they played 2 road games, once against Detroit, lost that one in a close game, and then on the road in the division against the Washington Redskins, which obviously was a tough test for them. They came up just short. And so we're talking about a 3-week leeway right now where the Eagles market is going downhill since their bye week. Minnesota Vikings, on the other hand, 5-0. They're coming off a bye week. You got that variable Sam Bradford playing against his former team, obviously. And then they're a team that have not really been tested because they're up on teams early and often. The only game that they were down, they were down against Carolina when Cam Newton got hurt. So that changed that game drastically. And then against Sunday Night Football against the Green Bay Packers, the defense had Green Bay under control pretty much the whole game. So they haven't been tested. So when's that game going to happen where they're down 7-0, 10-0, and then they have to really rely on Sam Bradford because honestly, he's just dinking football around to Adam Thielen. He's dinking it around to the running back. and that's how they're playing. So sooner or later, it's going to change. Maybe it's not this week. As Philadelphia's kind of in a little bit in turmoil right now, but we just don't know that variable, and that's not the type of game that I would wager as a top 3, top 4 play in the NFL.
I can understand that, especially with all that public money coming in on the Vikings. But you know what? The public money, I don't know if it means that much this week on this game. Maybe I'm just very prejudiced and really just fell in love with this play because of the defense. But man, defense absolutely wins games like this. If you can't score, you can't win in the NFL. So I respect your pass.